end of day one wrap at the Health and Wellbeing at Work Conference 2025.
Yeah, have you enjoyed it?
I really have, yeah, have you?
Yeah, I have. I've liked the setup to begin with, just giving ourselves a little pat on the back to begin with.
Yeah, loved it.
Yeah, I thought I'd missed the pod, like the internal pod, but actually being here, you don't feel like, so for anyone who's watching this now, we've got like an open side, this side, right, with people just kind of walking by, and I felt like I thought I would feel like I was in a little bit of a goldfish bowl, but I don't.
No.
It's quite nice. It's quite natural having
also,
people
a pod is actually a goldfish bowl. I know what you mean. Yeah. I think also it's got a bit more space, right? And it's just, I love the pod.
Yeah.
But it's been nice to have a bit more room, and it hasn't been distracting.
No. Really interesting interviews today.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing that struck
me
today has been quite heavy in terms of experts, subject matter experts in some. So I spoke to Dr. Rachel Lewis from Affinity Health, and then also Professor, I believe, Rob Breener, who is all talking about evidence-based practice. So quite heavy subjects, real kind of, academic background in terms of both of them and how they approach this sort of stuff. So it was fascinating. It was fascinating to hear that angle around it, And I mean, Rob was taking it right back and saying, can anyone here define well-being properly, or do we need to start from scratch? So it was quite, yeah.
How does he define well-being? Did he share?
No, I don't think he's in the business of actually defining it himself. He's in the business of holding up a mirror to the industry and saying, can you define it properly? Because if you can't, then you can't measure whether it's working or not working. Yeah, which is a fair point.
Good point, Rob.
It is a fair point. It's a difficult point to hear.
Yeah.
And it kind of links into this whole piece. Conversation I've had a few times today is this really brings back memories, because I think the Health and Wellbeing at Work conference was the first event that I came to like 15, 16 years ago.
Oh,
when I was,
full circle.
Exactly.
Full circle moment.
And there's parts that have absolutely moved on. Like, we definitely weren't talking about AI and neurodiversity and these sorts of things. But at the same time, sometimes you feel like you're still in your infancy with some of these conversations. You're talking about what's the definition of well-being and are we actually defining it properly. And tomorrow I'm talking about a standard for well-being leadership. Like, why does that not exist already? Why are we 15, 16 years on and those things don't exist?
Yeah.
And if I'm going to be critical of the industry more generally, and Rob made this point, it's quite solution heavy. So it's like, these are the solutions. Do this, do that, do the other. But we don't even know what problem we're solving for, and we've not defined that properly, so you can't just throw solutions at it.
Yeah, it does feel like, I mean, we have said this before, but there's just like throwing a load of stuff up in the air, a load of issues, a load of challenges, and it's sort of just tackling the bits that you can catch and make some sense of. I'm not saying there's no strategy. There is. Yeah. There's loads of it around, but I guess it's partly because well-being is, on a personal level, very changeable.
Yeah.
And we have our life stages and different states. And so how does an organisation really respond to that?
Yeah.
It's tough. Yeah. Plus, we're becoming more aware of certain elements and aspects, aren't we? Like the changes that to attention that we've got over things like, gendered health, menopause, financial health. That's also about the changing times.
Yeah.
It's kind of things keep getting thrown in the mix. Like, what's your prediction on what gets thrown in next?
What's the next fad?
Yeah, well,
not a fad,
but what is coming? Because, are we going to start talking, I mean, I know we talk about nutrition, but are we going to start kind of getting a bit more drilling down into like what everyone's having for breakfast and lunch? Because there's probably loads we could do there. It's, even when I think about, I don't know, what my child eats at lunch at school, I know that there are initiatives around that, but, it's not, no one's nailed that.
Well, Rachel mentioned on the podcast, she said about breaks, like that's a whole topic. She was like, we need the whole podcast on that on its own, the fact
that
we're working from home now and hybrid, and do people take proper breaks and back-to-back Teams meeting, and we've lost the serendipity of like bumping into people and having a chat around the water cooler or around the, in between meetings, that sort of thing. So even just, one thing that strikes me, and this isn't a criticism of the event, I promise you, but that I'd like to maybe feel a little more from events of all events of this kind, and the dialogue that goes on within this area. And this is really, I know why they don't do it, it's because it's difficult, but the effect that the prevailing culture and economy have on the work that we're trying to do.
Yes.
Because there are points,
because
there are parts of the work that I do where I just think we're working in this little bubble, and you're just ignoring like the cost of living crisis, inflation's through the roof, the fact that the houses are unaffordable now, so young people, I talked about this thing on LinkedIn that got quite a lot of traction around conscious embossing. Have you heard of that? So it's where young people in particular, are coming into workplaces and they don't want to move up into management positions, partly because it's too stressful and it's not worth it. But I think a bigger thing is because they can't flip and afford a house anyway, so why would I take on that extra stress? Because what's the point? Even if I double my wage, still can't afford flipping a house. So what's the point? I may as well enjoy, not just enjoy myself, but I may as well prioritize my mental health and quality of life rather than, trying to earn more money and own a home, because it's not possible.
Yeah.
And then you could go down the route of, what about all the wars that are happening and Trump in America and all the rest of it. And this stuff will be affecting, I don't know where I'm going with this, but this stuff will be affecting like people within workplaces.
Yeah. Well, I suppose it's kind of like what else could there be? What's missing from this conversation? I don't mean necessarily here at this conference, but back to the question, like what else is going to get thrown into the mix? There is more. So the job's only going to get harder. I mean, I think one really amazing thing, just back to this particular event at Health and Wellbeing at Work, there's really good clinical representation.
That's true.
It's really strong, and maybe that is a kind of a signature thing of this particular event. I mean, there's a dedicated like MSK conversation stream, isn't there? And loads of really good evidence as well, which has been lacking with some of the sort of service provision in this space. So that's all really, really cool about being here, and you really feel that kind of does feel quite different, I'd say, from other events that we've spent time at.
There's a real like expert feel here, like a real subject
matter. I mean, the
experts,
we meet experts wherever we go, don't we? But I think there's kind of like a clinical expert. I mean, how many doctors have you spoken today? Couple of professors.
Yeah, I feel bad that I've not got a PhD. I need to get on that.
I know. Yeah, you're seriously underqualified. But there's been a few doctors we've spoken to, a few professors. I mean, Sean, who I just spoke to now. Sean.
Yes,
Shane. Sorry, Shane. My apologies. From Vitru Health. He's 15 years into academia in his space, into biomechanics. Like, there was really, really kind of interesting insights that he's bringing from that world into this space. It's exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting. It's exciting. Yeah.
What's on the cards for tomorrow?
We've got lots of exciting interviews that I don't have in front of me, with more experts, more interested people, more speakers.
Don't miss it, guys.
More practitioners as well. The thing I'm interested and I always like about these events are then when we can see all of the content in the round that's been created and then get a feel for what are some of the conversations that are coming out of that. So that's something I'm really keen to do from this event, is to do a bit of that. Like once we've got all of the podcasts in the can, like absolutely let's publish those so that people can listen to them individually, but then let's also see what we can do to analyze that for themes and see what's coming out, what the prevailing temperature, what the vibe check of the whole conversation, to see what's coming out.
What are the latest habits?
What are the latest habits? They better be the same as the old habits.
Hey, we can have habits
2.0. Yeah, no, absolutely.
That's fine.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's a changing thing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that's kind of what we want to be doing here, is kind of keeping a finger on the pulse with what's going on and what's being talked about. That's why we're here, right?
Yeah.
Connecting with the community.
Absolutely.
Feel connected?
Yes. Yeah. Do you know what I really loved is, like, you bump into people, right? Networking, bumping into people that catching up, having some really good conversations. That's why these events are great. Like, that's the main upside to these sorts of events, so that you get the people that you get to meet, the conversations that you have.
Totally agree, and actually that's been quite nice for me because I've been off the hook a little bit with the interviews. You and Ben have been handling that, thank you. I have been able to kind of go out and speak to people a bit more than we've previously had time for, which has been really great, and get a kind of feel for what's going on out there. There's like quite a lot of providers here, I'd say, and lots of interesting product.
Yeah.
I tried something really cool before. Not joking, yesterday I googled one of the walking pads for a stand-up desk. I mean, I don't have a stand-up desk, and when I'm working from home, I'm in a carpeted floor, so you can't have a stand-up walking pad on there anyway. But a little tool product that's almost like a balance board, but very subtle.
Oh, I saw it. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Right.
So the idea is that you kind of just, do your thing on there, and also you're not like bobbing up and down.
Yeah.
I can imagine with a walking pad, you'd eventually have to just like stop. I need to actually write a sentence.
Yeah.
But it's a lot more subtle. You can pause, and apparently it all becomes a little bit kind of intuitive. Okay. It's harder to measure, like the exercise impact, the physical impact, but like absolutely no doubt it's like going to contribute to sort of keeping us out of the chair and a little bit more positive action for our bodies.
Yeah, although with a broken toe, I'm not sure I want to use it right now, if I'm being perfectly honest.
Be a good little test, won't it?
Yeah, maybe it'll help.
We'll prod you whilst you're on there. No, it was really good. In fact, it had these little balls in the middle, I don't know if you saw, that you can kind of like massage your foot on.
Oh, okay.
Because they've kind of like tight, the bottom of the feet get quite tight, and around the toes, like all of the fascia, the connective tissue. So, I thought it was great product. Bigging up the products.
Yeah, I love a good product. Like,
What's your product? What's your freebie fave?
Do you know, I've not had a chance to collect food. You need to speak to Connor about that. He's our freebie king, goes around collecting the freebies. I've not seen that many. Yeah, I've been primarily on the podcast and trying to capture some content, but maybe that's a job for tomorrow.
Yeah, tell you what, we'll get Connor to do. Connor can do like an unboxing of
all the
freebies. Of his freebies and rate them all. We talked about rating freebies before, didn't we?
Yeah. I'm going to do that tomorrow. I'll do that tomorrow.
Awesome. Well, have a good rest. You need to sleep.
Yeah.
Sorry to be abandoning you tomorrow.
That's all right. It was great to see you today.
You and Ben smash it tomorrow. I'm looking forward to listening to all the episodes.
Absolutely. And we'll catch up later in the week.
Over and out.
Thanks.